Good evening, everyone. It's 1800 hours according to Apple here, so we'll get started. Welcome to the St. John City Common Council meeting of March the 4th, 2024. We're going to start the evening with a land acknowledgement, and I'm going to pass that over to Councillor Radwan this evening. So over to you, Councillor.
Thank you, Mayor. The land on which the city of St. John, or Mennequist, is situated is a traditional territory of the Wolastoqey. The Wolastoqey, along with its indigenous neighbors, the Mi'kmaq and Pescatomakati, signed peace and friendship treaties with the British Crown in the 1700s that protected their rights to lands and resources. Let us reflect for a moment.
Okay, I'll ask everyone to please stand for the national anthem. Okay, City Clerk, next item on our agenda, please.
The first item is the approval of minutes from February 20th, 2024.
Approval of minutes from February 20th. I have the Deputy and Councillor Radwan on the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Just note that Councillor Sullivan isn't here this evening. He's away. Next item, City Clerk.
The next item is approval of the agenda, and we have 4 items being brought forward from Committee of the Whole. 17.1, results of the REOI for city-owned land at 160 Thorn Avenue. 17.2, city market lease for the Charlotte Street Bakery. 17.3, city market lease for Joe's Samosas. And 17.4, a staged Itoli Magahamak market slip.
Okay, I'll take a motion for the agenda with the additions. On the Deputy and Councillor Stewart. We've got some. Are we good over there? Okay. On the question? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Next item, City Clerk.
Disclosures of conflict of interest, if any.
Conflict of interest. Okay. Who have we got up first? Councillor Harris?
Yeah, I have a conflict on, sorry, my e-scribe's taking some time, but it's on the community grants.
Oh, okay.
That's 12.2.
Community grants, 12.2.
Yeah.
Okay. Hang on, BH 12.2. And then do I have any other conflict of interest? Councillor Stewart?
I should declare on 5.3 because I've declared in the past.
5.3. And Councillor Radwan?
Thank you, Mayor.
5.3. All right, excellent. Thank you. Next item, City Clerk.
Consent agenda.
Deputy, over to you to read the consent agenda.
Thank you, Your Worship. Do you want 5.3 removed for a vote? So that they can vote on the rest of the consent agenda?
Pardon me?
5.3 will be removed? Okay.
5.3 to 5.6?
So 5.1,
Right.
5.2, 5.4, 5, and 6.
Oh, right, 4, 5, and 6, right, because
And 5.3 can be voted on afterwards.
you're pulling 5.3?
I'm saying that we pull 5.3 and vote on it so that afterwards, so that Greg
Okay.
can vote on the rest of the consent
All
agenda
right.
now.
Thank you.
Okay?
Oh, and
Can I get a
Councillor
seconder on
Radwan.
those ones?
Good, thank you. Sorry about that. Okay, so 5, 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6. I have a mover and I need a seconder, and then I'll go to you, Councillor Lowe, Councillor Stewart. And on the question, Councillor Lowe, you have a question?
I would like 5 explained.
Can I send that over to you, Commissioner Poffenroff, please?
Through your worship, to the councillor. So 5.2 is 181 to 183 Union Street. It's discharge of a land use agreement. So the land use agreement was put in place early in the year 2000, in January of that year, because basically saying that the bedrooms in the building on the upper stories could not be used in the event that someone were to build on the vacant lot next door. So as a result, fast forward to 2024, this land use agreement that's registered against the property is making it very difficult for the current owner to rehabilitate and reoccupy the building. They're doing some renovations, and the land use agreement is making it difficult for lenders and other issues to move the project forward. When we researched the file, there was no council authority for the land use agreement to be put in place. There are also other mechanisms for us to deal with in the event that bedroom windows are ever blocked in the future, which are actually likely going to be more an effective tool. Some of the tools that we have are better than the land use agreement likely. So with that, and to move this project forward, we're recommending that the land use agreement be discharged, and that needs to be approved by council to do so.
Okay. Thank you. Good, Councillor. All right, so we have, the consent agenda has been moved and seconded. I don't see any other questions, so I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Next item, City Clerk.
The next item would be the consent item that was removed, 5.3. This,
Okay, so we'll do 5-3 now, so we'll ask Councillor Stewart and Councillor Radwan to leave. So back to you.
I would move 5.3, Your Worship.
Okay, I'll take a seconder on 5.3. Councillor Ogden. On the question? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. 5-3 is done. Okay. Next item, City Clerk.
members' comments.
Okay, members' comments. I don't see anything. Okay, Councillor Radwan, over to you. 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I just wanted to send out a special thank you to staff of Horizon and Dr. John Mowat, who gave me great care over the weekend. I'm actually, I'd had surgery this weekend, so I'm just also asking residents to be patient about me getting back to them. I'm a little behind than I would normally be. So thank you very much for your patience, and I've gotten lots of well wishes, which are appreciated too.
Thank you. Councillor Hickey.
Thanks very much, Your Worship. Very briefly, I just want to congratulate the YMCA announced their Red Triangle Award recipients today. In Julie Dingwell receiving the Red Triangle Award, of whom many of us know from her long-standing community work and impact on our community, in particular in Waterloo Village, as well as our leader to watch, which is a good friend of mine, Laura Oland. So congratulations to both, extremely well-deserved.
Thank you, Councillor. Okay, I'll just say quickly that this week, was it this week? Last week, sorry, I went out to UNB for the unveiling of Abraham Beverly Walker Way out there, which is quite an accomplishment. It was great to see. It was very well attended. When I read a little bit about Mr. Walker, And I thought about putting myself in those shoes. And I mean, he's born in 1851, so I can only imagine the difficulties for anyone to go to university in 1851. So he was the first Black student to register with the St. John Law School, which later became the Faculty of Law with UNB. And he was the first Black Canadian-born lawyer to work here in Canada. So he's pretty impressive, and it would have been quite the journey. And I think about, everything that's going on in the world right now. There's war and unrest. But this is a war that we all can fight together. And that's the war against racism. And we all need to do that, continue to do that. We need to stand up against racism. And when that street gets named out there, it's not just for the Black community, it's for everyone. It's for every student that goes there, it's for every person that goes there, because you then see that, UNB awards recognizes excellence, and it's not based on racism. So, and that's what we need to be always doing, is recognizing excellence based on merit and rewarding that. So it was quite an event, and I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. Thank you. Okay, next item, City Clerk.
We'll jump ahead a bit because we're not quite at 6:30 yet.
Okay.
So let's start with consideration of bylaw section of the item 10.1, the street closing Redhead Road and Hewitt Road, third reading.
10.1, I'm sending that over to General Counsel for the intro.
Control the mic, but I didn't give me the mic. Apologies. Good evening, members of council. Before you for third reading this evening is an amendment to the street closing bylaw intended to effect the street closing of two small landscape portions of streets at Redhead Road and Hewitt Road. The owners of a property on Redhead Road had requested that the city initiate the process to stop up and close these two small portions of public street for the purpose of consolidating them with their adjacent property. The two areas of public street proposed to be closed are presently landscaped and serve no benefit to the developed portions of the two streets. They are effectively remnant sections of the right-of-way following the reconfiguration of Redhead Road to meet Hewitt Road as part of the Redhead Secondary Access Route project. The public hearing for the closing of a 1,441 square meter portion of a public street known as Redhead Road and a 695 square meter portion of a public street known as Hewitt Road was held on February 20th, 2024. No member of the public appeared at the public hearing to speak against the proposed closure of the streets. Following the public hearing, this council gave first and second reading to the proposed amendment. Thank you, Worship. I'll hand it back to you for the appropriate motions.
Thank you. City Clerk, over to you for the motions required for third reading.
This requires two motions, one a reading in its entirety and one by title.
So I'll take a motion to approve the reading in entirety. Councillor Redwan, Councillor Hickey on the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
So a bylaw of the City of St. John entitled a bylaw respecting the closing of roads, streets, or highways in the City of St. John, enacted on the 11th day of March, AD 2019, is hereby amended by adding thereto Section 10 immediately after Section 9 thereof as follows. Section 10, the City of St. John does hereby stop up and close permanently the following street: Redhead Road and Hewitt Road. All that portion of Redhead Road and Hewitt Road being public streets in the City of St. John and the County of St. John and Province of New Brunswick, comprising Redhead Road having an area of 1,441 square meters on Hewitt Road, and on Hewitt Road an area of 695 square meters, as shown on a plan of survey entitled Showing Portion of Redhead Road and Hewitt Road, City of St. John, County of St. John, New Brunswick, prepared by Hughes Surveys and Consultants, Inc., and dated August 29, 2023, attached thereto.
Thank you. And I'll take a motion to approve reading by title. Councillor Stewart and Councillor Killen on the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
The bylaw number LG 4.1, a law respecting the closing of roads, streets, or highways in the City of St. John.
Okay, next item, City Clerk.
Next, we'll do 12.1, the Chief Administrative Officer's update on select catalytic projects and advocacy.
Okay, I'm sending that over to Commissioner Hugenholtz, who is the acting CAO for the evening. Over to you.
Good evening, Your Worship, members of council. I do have a few updates for you this evening, 2 on your catalytic infrastructure projects and 1 on the advocacy project. To start with, the gathering space, or Idoli Makwahamak, the title steps and stone placement have progressed now to above the high tide mark. Work continues on the retaining walls on the southern portion. Underground plumbing for the rock pool water features has started. Exterior siding is almost complete on the stage building, and painting of the stage building, the interior of it, is complete as well. Electricity has been energized at the stage building, and glazing is currently being installed on the patio structures. On the Central Peninsula School Community Hub, I can offer the following. The province, Anglophone South School District, and the city are continuing planning work on the new South End School located adjacent to Rainbow Park, and the new North End School located at Rope Walk Road adjacent to the YMCA. There are several subcommittees working through various matters such as parking, public access and shared use, traffic, and other engineering and construction issues, and progress is being made on all those aspects. The city was very pleased to learn that in late November, Minister Hogan, Minister of Education and Early Childhood Development, announced in the legislature that the government of New Brunswick had allocated funding for both the new South End School and Community Hub, as well as the new North End School and Community Hub. So that's fantastic news for our city and these neighborhoods. Both new schools remain officially slated to open in September of 2026 and are each designed to accommodate 522 students. The hubs are expected to each accommodate 122 early learning spaces, as well as expanded after-school programming and community spaces. So switching now to the catalytic advocacy projects, I'll provide an update on the affordable housing file. The city team continues to work hard to advance council's priority of affordable housing. Staff continue to work with Kaleidoscope Social Impact to advance the rapid housing initiative known as the Barrack Green Residences, a project that aims to bring 39 much-needed affordable housing units to Broadview Street. Pouring of the foundation has commenced on the Steepleview development project, which will bring 56 new units, of which 28 are affordable, and a daycare to Cliff Street in Waterloo Village. Both projects are the recipients of funding through the city's affordable housing grant program. Staff continues to work in the project planning process of the city's Housing Accelerator Fund action plan, and more information will be released on the city's website as these action plan initiatives are launched. The CMHC funding agreement requires the city to permit a minimum of 1,124 new units over the next 3 years, of which a minimum of 9% will be affordable. With that, Your Worship, that concludes my verbal update.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I'll take a motion to receive for information. Councillor Hickey and the deputy on the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Commissioner. Next item, City Clerk.
We'll skip to item 15, general correspondence, and 15.1 is a letter from A. Pothole, Charlotte and Sydney Street bicycle lanes, and the recommendation is to receive for information.
Thank you. I will just give you a quick little update on that. Sydney Street is out for tender. Charlotte Street will go out tomorrow, and the acting CAO has a call in with Mr. Pothole this week. Councillor Harris, over to you.
Yeah, it's just a thought for staff to consider, Your Worship, on this front. I've gotten, multiple phone calls and emails from people about some of the decisions or some of the, you know, it's a lot of misunderstanding around council's position around active transportation and the planning. So I think what would be helpful for the community would be almost like we did this with the Community Energy Action Plan, where staff did a kind of a presentation to community about how the planning, like what planning has occurred around active transportation, how it connects with our Move SJ plan, and what the future alignments are. Because, you know, as we roll out different lanes and change lanes, sometimes they don't go anywhere initially, or they don't connect, and people think it's, you know, they call it nonsense, or it's not sensible. But as you look at the plan long term, you see how it connects, you see how it integrates, and you see even the demand that there is. You know, St. John has a 12% usership around active transportation, which is actually higher than other cities, yet we have some of the least protected lane kilometers. So and that's just census data, those are the data we can get. I just think it would be helpful, because I get emails, you know, similar to this, and I think it's something that council can point to. Anyway, just food for thought.
That's good feedback. Appreciate it. The CAO is making a few notes here. Okay, so I will take a motion to receive for information on that one. And as I said, the tender's going out, and the CEO has a call in with Mr. Pottle this week. Councillor Harris and Councillor Killen on the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Next item, City Clerk.
15.2, a letter from R. Collins, City of St. John Preferred Pharmacy Provider Contract, and the recommendation is to receive for information.
Okay, and on this one, the city does apparently tender regularly for that. And this is another one that the city manager, the acting city manager, will be reaching out to Mr. Collins to have a chat with as well. So I'll take a motion for Councillor Stewart and Councillor Hickey on the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Next item, City Clerk.
Item 15.3, a letter from D. McFarlane, a request for silencing train whistles in compliance with noise bylaw. And the recommendation is to receive and file the letter, and the CAO to respond to the resident advising of work plan initiative.
Okay, so that's a good one. The deputy and Councillor Harris on the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Next item, City Clerk.
We'll go now to the items from Committee of the Whole. And
Okay.
Item 17.1 is the results of request for expression of interest for city-owned land at 160 Thorn Avenue.
Okay,
And
so I'll get you to read that.
Read out the
Please,
council
the
resolution.
recommendation.
And it's resolved that the city enter into an agreement of purchase and sale generally in the form as presented to Committee of the Whole at its meeting held March 4th, 2024, with 511978 NB Inc. for the parcel of land located at 160 Thorn Avenue, PID 55174106, and that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute the said agreement of purchase and sale and any other documents necessary to effect the transaction, and that the city retain a local government services easement for its infrastructure located within the subject lands.
Okay, I'll take a mover and a seconder. Councillor Radwan. I'll take a seconder of the deputy on the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Next item, City Clerk.
The next item is item 17.2, city market lease with Charlotte Street Bakery. And the resolution is resolved that the city enter into a lease generally in the form as presented to Committee of the Whole at its meeting held March 4th, 2024 for stalls B and C and ancillary spaces in the city market with Roseland Foods Limited doing business as Charlotte Street Bakery. And further be it resolved that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute any necessary documents.
Thank you. Take a mover and a seconder. Councillor Lowe and Councillor Hickey on the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Next item.
17.3, city market lease with Joe's Samosas. And the resolution is resolved that the city enter into a lease generally in the form as presented to Committee of the Whole at its meeting held March 4th, 2024 for stall 2 and ancillary spaces in the city market with Joe's Tea House Samosas doing business as Joe's Samosas, and resolve that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute any necessary documents.
Thank you. I'll take a motion and a seconder. The deputy, Councillor Ogden on the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Next item, City Clerk.
17.4, the stage at Atoll in Makahamak Market Slip, and the resolution is resolved that the city enter into the license agreement generally in the form presented to Committee of the Whole at its meeting held March 4th, 2024, with 750561 NB Inc. for the purpose of providing events, concerts, and general programming to the city facility called Aitoli Magahamak, the gathering space, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to execute the said license agreement and any other documents ancillary thereto.
Okay, I'll take a mover and a seconder. Councillor Lowe and Councillor Harris on the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Next item, City Clerk.
And I'm just checking the time here.
25.
Okay, so,
Can we squeeze one more?
pardon?
Can we squeeze another one in?
Yes, I just want when we could squeeze in.
Or we can wait.
Well, I don't want to rush anything, but
No.
perhaps we could, sorry?
What's the number? Oh, yeah, 13.4? Or 13.3, sorry. Okay.
So the next item is 13.3, Civic Commemoration Committee, and the recommendation from the Civic Commemoration Committee to name the trail system in Shamrock Park Don Cooper Trail.
Over to you, Councillor Hickey.
Just me. Thanks very much, Your Worship. I don't think there's a staff inclusion on this, so it's just me talking, right, Kate? Okay. I just want to let everyone know, before you tonight is a motion to designate by name the trail system in Shamrock Park. It'd be named the Don Cooper Trail. This was really brought forth by request from the community, and specific highlight to Councillor Ogden for his advocacy for a long time on this one. Really in an effort to honor the legacy of the late Sergeant Cooper. This request was presented to the Civic Commemorations Committee at our January meeting. The committee learned of Sergeant Cooper's impact as a coach and community leader in the North End for over 40 years. Primarily in the football fields of Shamrock Park, but also on the field, Don Cooper made a lasting impression on the young people he served and their families. His influence went well beyond coaching and extended to life skills, personal development, respect, and integrity, and was truly seen by many as a leader in the North End. The committee vetted this application using the St. John's Street and Public Space naming policy, as it met the criteria for both asset naming and commemorative naming put forth in the policy. The committee unanimously voted to bring forth the Don Cooper Trail as a recommendation for your consideration this evening.
Thank you. You moving that, Councillor?
I'm going to move it. Yeah.
Councillor Ogden, you going to second that? Okay. And you want to speak? Okay, go ahead.
I played football and hockey with Don and coached against him for 40-some years, but he had the same Pee Wee football team in the North End, so that he ended up coaching grandparents, parents, and children. So nobody could run away if they were in trouble from Don because he knew everybody in the street and he'd go and visit them. But as David said, he taught so many life skills. He was so down to earth. And the police union, I've met with quite a few times on this, they're fully behind it. Football community, hockey community, everybody just loved Don. And at one Seawolves game, I brought him out on the field to honor him. And the police union said, make sure that you thank Donnie for his years, and now he's retiring. So I noticed all the policemen on the side laughing their heads off. I didn't know what they were. So I thanked Donnie in front of a large crowd of people on his retirement. And he was the longest serving police officer. And he grabbed the mic from me and he said, who told you I'm retiring? I looked over, the police union were laughing their heads off. And thank God we were friends since high school. But Donnie was just somebody that everybody remembers. As soon as you say his name, it brings a smile on people's faces. I always thought he was the community police officer. And Kathy, his wife, said, no, Barry, he was not. It's just that he was always on the streets. Everybody thought he was. After hours, like maybe 9, 10 at night down at Shamrock Park. So I really want to thank Jillian Reed, who came up with this idea, because there was a push to have the field name, and then Emira came in with $1 million, and then a push to have the scoreboard name, and Jillian Reed of Parks Recreation came up with this idea. And I would like to thank her publicly, because Donnie is just so well loved, his memory and such, and Kathy is extremely happy, and we've had letters for years from the unions and the sports people, and I want to thank for having a naming policy. And this was just a wonderful idea. So Jillian Reed deserves a lot of credit for this, and so would the police union and all the sports communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Counselor. He sounds like a great guy. I never met him. Well, I love that about him. Okay, so the motion is on the floor, and so I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Excellent. Thank you so much. Next item, City Clerk.
Sorry, it's now 6:30, so we
Right on
can
time.
proceed with the public hearing. Item 9.1, proposed zoning bylaw amendment with Planning Advisory Committee report and staff presentation for 1 Bayard Drive, first and second reading.
Thank you. So I'm sending this over to Commissioner Poffenroff.
Thank you, Your Worship. Good evening, Your Worship and members of council. Before you this evening for a public hearing is an application for a rezoning that was submitted by Jill Higgins for the property located at 1 Bayard Drive. The application is seeking to rezone the property from major community facility to urban center residential to provide for the property to be converted for residential use. The application has been evaluated by staff and the Planning Advisory Committee, and included in your package are recommendations of approval for the rezoning. I'll now turn it over to Yeva Matson, the planner on the file, for the staff presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, and good evening, Your Worship and Council. So as said, this is a rezoning for 1 Bayard Drive. The site and existing building are currently zoned major community facility, as they were previously offices for the Roman Catholic Diocese. The applicant is proposing to rezone to urban center residential to accommodate converting the building into a 25-unit apartment with a future phase to add an addition containing 8 units in the rear. The development does provide for all parking required on site, including for that addition in the future. The subject site is located in the Central Peninsula in the Waterloo Village neighborhood, and the immediate neighborhood is a mixture of residential, institutional, and commercial. The site is well located for walkability to services, as well as being serviced by 3 different bus routes. In this image, you can see the existing office building from Bayard Drive. This is the building that would be converted into the multi-unit apartment, and in the rear, where you can't see, would be that addition. Here's another view of the site from the access off of Bayard Drive. In this image, you can see the front entrance as well as the existing front parking. And then down to the right would be another level of parking as well as another entrance. And then this is just the image from the site showing the view looking out. So it shows you Bayard Drive looking south, and then that leading to Waterloo with the hospital out of sight to the far right, and then all the surrounding hospital parking. The site is designated as medium to high density residential in the plan, and this proposed redevelopment of this institutional use would help actually increase the overall neighborhood density towards those targets established in the municipal plan, and it's undertaken in a way that really reactivates underutilized property. So as said, the current zoning is major community facility. The proposal is to rezone to urban center residential as it's compatible with the surrounding development pattern and would allow for the proposed multi-unit. The development is also occurring in the Waterloo intensification area where we very much encourage density. And the adaptive reuse of an underutilized office building is just a great opportunity to add more housing. As for engagement, letters were sent to all landowners within 100 meters of the property on February 5th, and public notice was posted on February 8th. We have had no calls or letters. As the proposal conforms to the municipal plan and the zoning bylaw, staff are recommending approval, and PAC is in alignment with this recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Matson. Okay, so I will now open the public hearing, and I'll ask if there's anyone present here this evening who would like to speak against the application. I'll ask again, if there's anyone here who would like to speak against the application for 1 Bayard Drive. And I'll ask for the third time if there's anyone here who would like to speak against the application for 1 Bayard Drive. Okay, so hearing no one, I'll ask if there's anyone here who would like to speak in favor of the application of 1 Bayard Drive. Anyone here? I have to ask 3 times, so I'll ask again if there's anyone here who would like to speak in favor of the project at 1 Bayard. And I'll ask for a final time if there's anyone here who would like to speak in favor of the project at 1 Bayard. Okay, seeing no one, I'm going to close the public hearing. And I'm going to ask my team, my council team, if they have any questions for staff. So Councillor Ogden, going over to you first.
I'm just really pleased to see this happen. As a kid that lived in Rocker Court and later East St. John on the other side of Ross Avenue when I was really young, we looked up to the General as the nicest piece of our skyline in St. John, 12 stories high with the dome. And I'm just, and then the Diocese building. And Mike has bought, I've been friends with Mike a long time, and he's bought the Diocese building and other land. And I just think this is fabulous. That area from Haymarket Square right to the Bridge Street area had at least 10 to 15,000 people living in it. Now it's kind of a eyesore corridor, but the city, thanks to Mike and Tim and these people, are narrowing Main Street. We've got developers looking at all kinds of land in the north end. This is like a portage that the Indigenous people used. It's one of the ways you got around Reversing Falls. It'd be nice to have the trolleys go back down to Bridge Street and bring in that steamboat that's up at St. John Marina that the family, they're called the Hickeys, I think, they own. And but it would be nice to see all that again, because that really is, when urbanization occurred, it split the city, but it also removed all the people. And that hill, even the hillside, which had the medical building that's no longer there, and the old General, and I really hope Mike builds something in there and puts a big dome on it. And this Diocese building, which he's got it, I was in it the other day, and there's going to be 24, 25 units, and I can't remember, 5 or 6 affordable. He's been working on this for a while. He's a St. Johner, and it's great that he has shown faith in the city, and that's what we need, of more people developing St. John. We have lots and lots of land, and to step forward, but this to me is just it's a fantastic idea, and in an area that really needs it. Waterloo Street was once the second busiest street in the city, and through all the other things that are going on, Waterloo Street's coming back. And when you go up there and look around, it's probably got one of the best views anywhere. So I think people should be lined up to live in these places, and it's on the bus route, it's in walking. So I just think it's a fabulous idea.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Hickey, over to you.
Thanks very much, Your Worship. I'm always impressed with Councillor Ogden's knowledge of history, and he certainly shared it all with us. I'll tell you one thing I did not expect in this public hearing was to hear about steamboats. So, I just wanted to thank the proponent and Michael and his team for the work that they're doing. I don't think it's any shock to anyone here that Waterloo Village has very quickly become the front line of our housing and mental health crisis, and investment in housing like this, investment in good quality infrastructure like this, is what's going to position our community for success in the long run. So thank you very much for making this investment in the community.
Councillor Redwan.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a question, actually. So if I could ask staff, that would be great. Through you to Ms. Mattson, I'm just wondering, do you have any idea on the timeline? I didn't see anything in the packet, but of course the building's already standing, so.
I believe the timeline is very ambitious. They would like to be in, I believe, January 2025. So
Wonderful.
get to work as soon as possible. As soon as we've done this, they're applying for building permits. So
That's great. And I mean, what a great use of a building that's already there, that's sitting there empty. Hopefully other people will be looking to do projects like Mike and his crew. Thank you for your investment, your continued investment in the city. It's great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor. I have a quick question for you. Was it built for residential? I see in the kit, always love the decision history or the history on a building, that it was rezoned in 80-3.
So it
from
used
residential.
to be RM1, which was a 3-story multi-unit residential zoning, and then it was changed over for the community, like the
Right.
church, to use,
Yeah.
and then we're kind of reverting back.
So it's reverting back to its original use. Oh, excellent, excellent, good, thank you. All right, so I don't see any more questions for staff, so send it over to the clerk for the motions required this evening.
Yes, Your Worship, this requires two motions, a first reading by title and a second reading by title.
Move a first reading by title, approve first reading by title, Councillor Lowe and Councillor Killen. On the question, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
A law to amend the zoning bylaw of the City of St. John.
Approve second reading by title. I'll take a motion to approve second reading, Councillor Radwan and the deputy. On the question, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
A law to amend the zoning bylaw of the City of St. John.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for being here this evening. Congratulations. You've got your first two readings done and you're on your way. And we'll see you, may see you next in a couple of weeks for the third reading. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Okay, next item, City Clerk.
We'll continue with the business matters and item 12.2, Community Grants Program 2024.
All right, 12.2, this one is going over to Commissioner Poffenroth, please.
Yes, thank you, Worship. Your Worship and members of Council, the annual Community Grants Program provides operational, project, and special event funding to support the work of our local nonprofit sector. Since 2015, the Community Grants Program has issued over $1 million in grants. Grant applications are evaluated by a committee of 6, including 2 staff, 2 counselors, and 2 volunteer community members. This year, the committee evaluated 47 applications, requesting a total of over $680,000. With an envelope this year of $214,000, the evaluation process was no small task. The greater demand for funds this year certainly challenged the committee, and I'd like to thank them for their work. And now I'll hand it over to Lori Lampert, the Community Development Supervisor, to provide an overview of the 2024 Community Grants Recommendation.
Thank you, Commissioner. Your Worship and Council, it's an honor to be here this evening to present this report. The Community Grants Program is now in its 9th year, and as the Commissioner had described, we have just this year, upon approval of this report, will surpass the $1 million threshold in total grants allocated to our community. The grants support nonprofit community to provide services, projects, and events that enhance quality of life throughout the city. So these are organizations that provide multicultural education, resource and programs, alleviate the effects of poverty through food security and shelter systems, provide free or low-cost recreation and gathering spaces in our neighborhoods, and promote an inclusive community through services for newcomers, seniors, youth, and citizens of all ages and abilities. The 2024 community grants envelope did increase slightly. The past couple of years, we've been around $184,000, so it's always been a bit of a modest budget, but certainly we have the community capacity to take the monies that they are awarded and increase those 100-fold, as the report says. So we're very grateful to those communities. So we did have quite an increase in applicants this year. It's an increase of actually 79% over last year of the total amount requested. So we were very challenged, our little committee of 6, to carefully weigh and measure each application. And I will qualify that, before we get into, the awards, it's really a privilege for me to have sat on several grant committees over the years, just to see the dedication and the value that so many of these community organizations bring to our city. So the value that they bring, with very small grants that we award, are very much needed, but certainly what they give back is immeasurable. So it's an honor for me to see that every year. So the committee was tasked with 47 applications, and we do use an evaluation matrix every year. This year, fairness and equity were very key considerations. So we do consider financial need, community impact, and the capacity for the groups to achieve their goals. I guess this year, we really wanted to emphasize that fairness and equity, and you'll see that in the awards, the amount of awards that are granted specifically around our ethnocultural groups. So we've had groups that have served the city for 30, 40, 50 years, and we have groups that are new and have just become incorporated through our ethnocultural grants and are now applying to the grant program to allow them to provide services throughout the community too. So we really wanted to provide an equal playing field for all those groups to be able to offer their communities the services, programs, events, and initiatives that are important to them. So without further ado, I just want to acknowledge the committee of 6, Councillor Greg Stewart, Councillor Barry Ogden, Graham Stewart Robertson, Amit Temrakar, and Kay Kenyandula for their service. And I'll pass it over to you for questions.
Anyone have any questions for Lori? Lori, you have done a great job. I say that every year, but I've been on the Arts Committee, and Councillor Killen's been on the Arts Committee, and Councillor Radwan, and sometimes you get on those committees where then you have to decide on the grants, and it's so tough, especially when you've got almost 3 times the amount of asks versus what you have for money to spend. It's pretty tough because all the applicants are usually pretty fantastic. And so it does make it tough. And I know that there's lots of criteria to help guide you, but it's still not easy.
That's right.
So I do thank you and your team and for the services, and Councillor Stewart for your services on there as well. And Councillor Ogden, thank you to you for being on that because it's a tough one. All right, I have a question, I guess, from Councillor Stewart. Over to you.
Not a question, Your Worship. Just thank you for recognizing us. But I would like to recognize you and Kay, the job that you guys do. There's no easy way when you have this many requests for funding and we got to whittle it down, even with the matrix. The input that you bring to this committee, Lori, is absolutely invaluable. I want everybody to recognize that, and Kay as well. You do a fantastic job with everything you do. So
We have a great team.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Councillor Stewart, are you going to move the recommendation then? You're moving the recommendation? I am moving. Excellent, thank you. Councillor Ogden. All right, on the question, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Thanks, Lori. All right, next item, City Clerk.
Next item is item 12.3, Dominion Park Phase 2 update.
Mark Dion, I'm sending this one over to you for the intro.
Good evening, Your Worship and members of council. It's my pleasure to be here tonight to give you a quick update with respect to Phase 2 and what we're going to do at Dominion Park. So I thought I'd take an opportunity maybe to let you know what's happened a little bit in the past, where we are today, and where we want to go in the future. As everyone knows, summer of 2023 is when we finished Dominion Park, and we had a very successful launch, a grand opening of Dominion Park. It was amazing. Fast forward a little bit to today, everyone knows in 2024 the capital budget has already been approved. In that capital budget, they had $450,000 set aside for the next phase of Dominion Park. That money is contingent upon the city receiving an additional $450,000 from other levels of government. So in essence, we really have a pool of $900,000 on what we can do with Phase 2 of Dominion Park. So now that we had this money, we obviously decided to sit down with the Dominion Park Foundation and discuss what options could be on the table. We really came up with 2 options. One was putting a playground in place in the existing location. And just to kind of put that in perspective, you may think $900,000 is a lot of money for a playground, but last year in 2023, we did a refurbishment of the playground at Forest Hills. And that was almost $450,000 in itself. That was really a few new pieces of equipment, some painting, a new base, fixing some walls. So $900,000 can be eaten up very fast. That was option number one. Option number two was something closer in line with the foundation really wanted in phase two. And that was to do a scaled back playground and build a lookout on the northwest corner of the current area. So we ended up taking these options to Derek Chasson of the foundation, and it really wasn't in line with what they wanted to accomplish. They had a grand vision for Dominion Park. They're a very passionate group, and they wanted something more to come out of this. So it kind of placed us in a bit of a predicament on what we were going to be able to do. We had $900,000 to go forward, but our plans didn't really align with what they thought Dominion Park could be one day. So I guess the reason why we're here tonight and what we decided upon after conversations with multiple stakeholders and the foundation is to give them a 6-month window starting today to raise additional funds to go towards the capital to make greater enhancements towards the project. And I think the foundation, Derek specifically, was extremely happy with this initiative and thought. They're aware that it will put us behind about 6 months, which will delay construction until the 2025 calendar year. But they're cognizant of that, and they're willing to wait that time. Derek has been out in the community frequently. He feels that he's talked to MLAs, different private businesses that can bring in significant additional funds. So that's where we are today. We want to allow the foundation a 6-month window starting today, and to also have council sign the MOU to allow us to start collecting those funds. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, I've got a question from Councillor Killen.
I think we're on the thank you train tonight. This is so
I like
exciting.
that train.
Right. It's just very exciting for the West Side. And I know Derek Chasson and the crew at the planning committee and the city have been working closely on this. So it's very exciting to see. And I really want to push that they're still looking for funds to complete this project on their end. So if you're, an investor type, then this is definitely a project that would help the West Side be even more beautiful than it is. So big thanks to the city for their contribution, and just a shout out to the team and to the public to make sure if you have any interest in this project to contact them and help them out. So thanks.
Thank you, Councillor. They do have a passionate team, and they've been waiting anyway, so I think they're looking to do it right. So if they can leverage this 450, I spoke to Derek myself as well, they want that to be offered that opportunity. So I think it's a reasonable ask. And I will also say congratulations to Derek, because he's got new baby Hugh Wiley Chasson, I think about a week or so ago. So he'll be, but yeah, well, you got to get that playground on the go now. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I need someone to move the recommendation that's in the kit. Councillor Harris and Councillor Norton on the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Excellent. Thank you. Okay, next item, City Clerk.
Next item is 13.1. It's a Growth Committee report on the 2024 Menasquest St. John Powwow.
Okay, I'm sending this over to Deputy Mackenzie, who is the acting chair of Growth right now.
Thank you, Your Worship. Your Worship, the Growth Committee is pleased to present a recommendation for the city to present and financially support a powwow in St. John this fall in partnership with our First Nations communities. The powwow is planned to be held at TD Station this October and would be hosted by the Wolastoqey and the Mi'kmaq First Nations, and the city would plan an active role in supporting its coordination. This powwow is a tremendous opportunity for St. John and will advance our community's journey towards truth and reconciliation. A powwow of this scale has not been held in St. John before, and this will have deep meaning as the city of St. John, Mennequist, has been known from time immemorial as a gathering space. Itulima Hakwamak for First Nations. The city can expect thousands of visitors, thousands of people come to these things, to attend the powwow, which will also have economic spin-offs for our local businesses. It will be free and open to the public, and in a special way will allow thousands of our residents who claim Indigenous identity to experience their traditions and culture in a new and meaningful way. City staff are available if there's any questions, and I'd be pleased to move the recommendation. And I just want to add, Your Worship, that a couple of years ago, representatives from across New Brunswick basically were gathered in Regina for the FCM, and I know Councillor Harris and Councillor Killen were there with me. We went to this powwow out there, and it was absolutely fabulous. Absolutely an eye-opener. It was fabulous, and I know it's going to be great for St. John Region. You know, if you need to come to St. John, you'd better book your room early. Thank you, Worship.
Thanks, Deputy. I have, okay, Councillor. So are you moving that? You moved that? I'll take a seconder on it. Councillor Killen. Okay, Councillor Radwan, over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to say thank you to staff again, actually. I just wanted to say that, you know, I encourage you to do as much as we can with, you know, going through truth and reconciliation, making sure that, yeah, we're still doing things the right way at the right times and with the wishes of our Indigenous people. So anything that I can help, just let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Ogden, over to you.
Yeah, I think this is a fabulous idea. And growing up, I never knew there were so many Indigenous people in St. John. It's in the thousands. And I think the reason is that we don't have a reserve here. But there are 2 islands off of our KYC which belong to the Wolastoqey people. And the island that used to be in the harbor, that the harbor bridge is built on today, was the communication center for the whole province for Indigenous people because of all the river systems that connect into the St. John River system, which is the largest body of water east of the Mississippi. A real gem that we have here is clean drinking water. We're on the ocean and we have a fantastic river system. But I think this is fabulous, and I think there's thousands of people in St. John that their history will be represented here. And we know that we've often forgotten our history, which is to our own detriment, but I think this is just a fabulous idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Okay, so the motion is on the floor and has been seconded, so I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Next item, City Clerk.
13.2, Growth Committee Report on the Sophia Recovery Center funding request.
Okay, back to you, Deputy. This one comes from Growth Committee as well.
Thank you, Your Worship. So, Your Worship, on behalf of the Growth Committee, before you is a recommendation for funding for the expansion of the Sophia Recovery Center. This project is driven by the growing need in the community to expand recovery programs and services, with the new North End site replacing multiple rented spaces throughout the city. The completion of this project will result in parking for clients and staff and increase the recovery programs and services offered, and achieving Sophia Recovery Center's strategic plan on growth and expansion. This project will enhance the development and delivery of programs to upwards of 500 women by the end of 2025, and will positively impact neighborhood and public safety, healthcare, family and school lives, social services, and employment. This project aligns with Council's priorities of grow and belong, as demonstrated in the submitted business case included in tonight's Council. And I note that Kara Coase, Senior Manager of Community Support Services, is available here tonight for any questions you may have. Thank you, Worship. I'd be pleased to move the recommendation.
Okay, I'll take a seconder on it. Councillor Lowe, are you seconding that? I thought that was your baby over there. Okay, so I've got a mover and a seconder on it. Any questions on that file? Sophia Recovery Center. So I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Next item, City Clerk.
The next item is 13.4 from the Finance Committee, Marketplace West Ballfield Storm Sewer Separation Project.
Councillor Norton, over to you to bring us the initiatives from Finance this evening.
Thank you, Your Worship. On behalf of Chairman Sullivan and obviously the hardworking Finance Committee, and thank you to staff through CFO Budget's office for their work in preparing these reports. The recommendation is to reallocate $250,000 within the 2024 general capital budget from stormwater strategy project to a new capital project titled the Marketplace West Ball Field Storm Sewer Separation Project. During the review of the Marketplace West ball field drawings, it was determined by professional staff that the city should separate the storm and sanitary sewers in the area of the project, or an opportunity would be lost. And as council knows, we've been taking, it's a good opportunity to do that as they present themselves in the separation of those two arteries. The stormwater strategy project will continue, but will not be modified, and future funding will be included in the 2025 proposed general capital budget. So if I gets on the table, any questions, we can certainly answer those.
All right, so I've got Councillor Norton moving that, and I'm going to take a seconder on that. Councillor Killen on the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Councillor. I will say that I love storm separation, because to send your rainwater through your water purification, your $220 million water purification system does not make sense. So the more storm separation we can do, the better. So thank you to you and your team, of which I am on finance.
Well said, Your Worship. We don't need to filter that dirty stuff any more than we have to. So,
City Clerk, over to you for the next item.
13.5, another report from the Finance Committee, capital reserves required for dredging at the Lancaster Lagoon.
Over to you, Councillor Norton.
yeah, certainly. 13.5, we are looking for council support in approving an adjustment to the 2023 utility fund capital budget for $1,720,000 and the withdraw of $1,720,000 from the utility fund capital reserve fund for dredging at the Lancaster Lagoon. By way of background, in order to install the new aeration system at the Lancaster Lagoon, extensive dredging must be completed at an additional estimated cost to the utility of $2.5 million. Just about. The utility currently has $750,000 budgeted towards completing dredging at the Lancaster Lagoon facility, and the additional $1.75 million in funding is recommended to be drawn from the Utility Capital Reserve Fund, which is exactly why it was established. So I move that. If I get a seconder, certainly we can answer
Councillor
questions.
Lowe, you're seconding that? Okay. Any questions on that? If there are no questions, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Next item.
Next item is 13.6, another report from the Finance Committee, the Market Slip Docking System.
Back to you, Councillor Norton.
Thank you, Your Worship. The recommendation here is to approve an adjustment to the 2024 general capital budget for $210,000 to fund the installation of the floating dock system on the Fundy Key site of the Market Slip, and approve the withdrawal of $210,000 from the general capital reserve. I know Councillor Sullivan would be very disappointed if this didn't go through, so can certainly provide some background if we need to.
Thank you. So you're moving that, and I'll take a seconder on that. Councillor Ogden on the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Next item, City Clerk.
The next item is the last item on the agenda, another Finance Committee report, the Council Community Fund.
Over to you, Councillor Norton.
Go. All you sailors out there, that previous motion should come as good news. The recommendation here for the Council Community Fund is that the Finance Committee recommends Common Council approve the draft Council Community Fund policy. This policy is being recommended as a collaborative effort between the City Clerk's office and the Finance Department. So thank you to those two respective offices for their work in collaborating. It is a policy that appears to be unique in New Brunswick, with only Halifax having something similar. The purpose of the Council Community Fund policy is to provide a framework to allow council members to apply and provide financial support to community-based organizations and to facilitate minor city asset improvements if the application is approved by council, with the budget being allocated to mayor and council of up to $1,500 per elected official. If I get a seconder, we can certainly discuss.
Councillor Lowe? Okay, and on the question, I've got a couple of questions here. Councillor Ogden? Over to you
I
first.
just wanted to thank Councillor Lowe for the great idea.
Excellent. Deputy Mayor, over to you.
Reaching across.
Thank you, Worship. This is an awesome first step. This is what we need. I can tell you with the city with 5 priority neighborhoods, this will come in very handy. I would make one friendly amendment, and that would be with regards to the minimum amount. I think that what we should do is have no minimum amount, but a maximum of 3 requests per year per counselor. So it would reduce the amount of paperwork on staff, and it would give the counselors some flexibility as to, how much money each project would need. Because if somebody needs $200 and you got a $500 minimum, you can't really help them out. So with the exception of that, I think we can move forward with this tonight if I get a seconder on that amendment.
So the
And-
friendly amendment, that's you would have to be amenable to that, and Councillor Lowe, you're amenable to that?
Certainly.
Yeah? Okay.
You
I'm
good with that, Councillor? Okay. Good with that? Okay. All
Thank
right.
you.
So we're good? Where's the clerk? Yes, so the clerk will read the motion, so we're clear on the motion.
Excellent.
The recommendation is the Finance Committee recommends that Common Council approve the draft community fund policy with the following revisions. The first revision is to section 2.1, the eligibility criteria for fund. The policy that was submitted to you will remove the minimum amount of financial support is $500 per application, and it will replace it with, there shall be a minimum of 3 applications per year per council member. And also the section 4.2 will be removed and replaced, and that section at 4.2 is, we will remove the applications that meet the policy at a minimum of $500 per application and replace it with, we recommend no more than 3 applications per year per council member.
Perfect. Okay, that'll give us a good start. All right, so that's Councillor Norton.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure, just for the record and for the benefit of the Common Clerk's office, I believe I heard it right from the Common Clerk, but just for council's clarity, that's a maximum of 3 transactions per $1,500 envelope. So just for the public's benefit, this is already a tremendous amount of work. As that would be 33 separate submissions if we all maxed out at a maximum of 3 transactions to use up the $1,500 allotment. So a maximum of 3 transactions per counselor as it relates to this. And the CFO may have more to say on that.
Okay, yeah.
Perfect.
Did you have anything to contribute there, CFO? No?
Absolutely nothing to add.
Okay,
Thank
I
you.
have a question for you. If I wanted to, I know it says you can't, it's not for operations and it has to be for an event or it has to be for capital or whatever, but what if I wanted to take my whole 1,500 and turn it over to, because I'm the mayor and I, versus being in a ward, like for me, to something like Pro Kids? Is that suitable?
That would perfectly be acceptable within the confines of the policy.
Oh, okay, sounds perfect. All right, sounds good. Okay, so the motion is on the floor. It's been revised and we're all good with it, so I'm going to call the question. On the question, all in favor? And opposed? Enthusiastically. Thank you, motion carried. Councillor Lowe, over to you for the last motion of the evening. Oh, sorry.
Could I just say, I want to make a correction. I made a mistake there earlier. I said Jillian Reed, it's Jen Reed. And I also want to thank Kate Wilcock with the naming of the field too.
Sounds
She was
good.
involved. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Meeting's adjourned according to Councillor Lowe. Okay, Councillor Killen. Thank you, everyone. Good night.